Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Randall Fogelman. I am the Vice President of Business Development for Eastern Market Corporation. But to give you a little background on myself, I like to say, like Austin, I had a rough upbringing. I fought my way off the streets of West Bloomfield. In 1994, I actually went to 2 years at Michigan State. That was all I could handle. After that, I moved downtown, enrolled in Wayne, finished my undergrad there, started to get involved. It was an exciting time. Archer had just gotten elected, and things were definitely going to change in the city. So I decided that urban planning was what I wanted, so I came up to the best school in the state for urban planning, and I got my degree here. And what I was able to do while I was here was participate in the first Detroit design charrette, and it focused on a little neighborhood called the Cass Corridor. Now we refer to it as Midtown, and I started to work there, and I've been in the city since 1994, so 15 years. I currently work for Eastern Market. Let's see. Eastern Market is the largest public market district in the country. How many people have been to the Eastern Market? That is awesome. I have to tell you a quick little story. So when I came up to U of M, I'd been in Detroit for 3 years. I was all excited. I moved up to Ann Arbor, and here you had all these students that were studying urban planning 45 minutes away from the greatest case study in the United States, and most of them had not been to Detroit. So I put together a little bus tour. I drove them all down. We spent 2 days touring around Detroit. The design charrette came a year later, and now I'm happy to see that the University of Michigan has taken an active role in what's going on in the city, so I commend you all for that. So Eastern Market is 4 markets, really. We have our Saturday market, which is what most people know us for. Most people don't know is we have a wholesale market. Midnight through 6 a.m., Monday through Friday, in season, so basically April through November. Farmers from all over the state, and Ohio and Ontario, come and sell produce directly to grocery stores, caterers, food processors. So in Michigan, we've been eating local for a very long time. We just didn't necessarily know it. They weren't really advertising it. Now with the whole Eat Local thing, they're promoting which farms they come from. We also do a huge business in flowers. You know, we're the land of single-family homes. Everybody needs a flat of flowers for their front yard. We are the place that people come for that. And then we're also the home of special events. We do a big beer festival. We're the home of Lions tailgating. As you see, that's our tub gators. People bring a hot tub to the market every Sunday for football. And we do lots of other events. General Motors rented one of our sheds for a big product launch. So that's a source of additional revenue for the organization. So the market has been there since 1891. There was a central market downtown. It started to get a little crowded downtown. They built an eastern and a western market. Over the years, the market kept going, sort of bumps and along the way. In the early 1970s, an architect by the name of Alex Pollock, who actually still works for the city, proposed these super graphics as a way to sort of spruce up the market without spending a lot of money. It brought a lot of new attention to the market, but didn't really fix the core problems. So there were a ton of studies done. The Urban Land Institute, University of Michigan, Design Charrette, all sorts of studies, and every one of them, at the conclusion of that study, said there should be a nonprofit to manage the market. So after a ton of diplomacy that I wasn't involved in, thankfully, I'm not a very diplomatic person, so after all that diplomacy, they convinced the city council to create a nonprofit entity to run the Eastern Market. So as a result of that negotiation and diplomacy, we have a 21-member board of directors, 7 stakeholders, 7 from the city, and 7 from the vendors and the business owners in the district. And we're charged with 4 things: managing the operations Eastern Market under the lease terms, so we have a management and promotion agreement. We're responsible for rebuilding the market campus, revitalizing the Eastern Market, the entire district, and then leveraging what we're doing in the district for the greater area around it. So the market campus is 14 acres at its core. We have 5 different buildings, sheds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as part of the way that they convinced the city council to turn the market over to a nonprofit, they came up with what they called the reinvestment strategy, and it looked at all the buildings. And the first one that was going to be renovated was Shed 2, and that's what it looked like before. And so it's one of the first things that we started doing. It was supposed to take 10 weeks. It took 10 months. There was a large learning curve going on there. And that's what it looked like upon completion. So excuse me a second. So there was a lot of skepticism when we assumed management, rightfully so. The vendors and the business owners have been promised a lot for a long time. But I think after we finished Shed 2, we kind of hit a turning point. People started to believe that we were going to do what we said we were going to do. But it was necessary to take a step back. But Talking about Shed 2, we renovated it, opened it up, made it completely modern, but preserved the historic character of the building. Set out to recruit new farmers and vendors, something that the market had never done before. There never was a recruitment plan. So we actually started visiting with farmers and letting them know that things had changed at the market. And then we also, which is something Claire asked me to mention, started going after specialty food vendors. We had an east and west wing in the shed, which is not part of what we call the main line, that were empty for a long time. So we set out to recruit a lot of these small food businesses that had popped up over the years. And as a little side note, I happen to own a small food venture myself. I started it 10 years ago called the Detroit Spice Company. So I had some connections sort of in this world. And a lot of these vendors I felt belonged at the market. So Avalon Bakery that was mentioned earlier, Institution in Midtown, Institution in Detroit, they weren't at the market. They belonged there. So we started recruiting. Good Girls Go to Paris, her actually second location before she opened her 1,000 square foot was at the market. Granola Company, McClure's Pickles was mentioned in the other presentation. Great Lakes Coffee, and we were so successful that Zingerman's Creamery and Bakehouse decided to join us, and they've been doing very well there. So with that, sort of food movement, things have changed in Michigan. In 2000, the governor signed a cottage food law, which allows people to produce food products, non-potentially hazardous food products, in their home. So it's been a big boom, not necessarily for our market, but for a lot of the smaller markets and for entrepreneurs that are interested in getting started in that food business but don't have the capital to build a commercial kitchen. So it's got some limitations. You can only sell $15,000 gross sales. You have to label it accordingly that it wasn't produced in a commercial kitchen. But it really has opened the world for food entrepreneurs. And then as a result of that, or sort of going along the same line, there's been a lot of sort of underground food movement happening in Detroit. There's a group called Detroit Underground, Gourmet Underground Detroit. They meet, they have these secret meetings, and they talk about food. And part of Phil Cooley mentioned last night, Clandestine. They're actively involved in that. A group of women in Hamtramck rented a house and started the Zymology Guild. And they would just get together every Saturday and can and make jam and jellies and stuff like that. And then some people have even taken it on to the next level and done a subscription series. There's something called Suddenly Sour and Commissary that are doing a subscription series, so you can pay, and then once a month you pick up your sauerkrauts and your jams and your fermented products. So once we finished Shed 2, after that 10-month renovation, we took a step back and redid all the plans. Hired a new architect, brought new builders to the table, and created Eastern Market 360. And that was as a result of what we had learned from Shed 2, but also the world had changed. Local was becoming more and more important to people, and food access was a big issue, and that was something that wasn't addressed in the original plans. So we want to be a fully integrated food hub, is a term that's being used now by the USDA and by ourselves, and that's a place where all these different uses come together in one spot. And they have been happening since 1891 on that same location. We're just sort of formalizing that. So the next project was Shed 3. And in the revitalization strategy, Shed 3 was going to be the indoor market hall. If you've been at Philly Reading Terminal in Philadelphia, or the West Side Market in Cleveland, or the North Market in Columbus, market hall, permanent vendors. And we decided that wasn't the best and highest use for the space. So we renovated it just to be what I call the best Shed 3 it can be. And that's what it looks like $6.5 million later. Next project is Shed 5. Shed 5, the most important thing that's going to happen there, we're going to renovate the back of the building, but we're going to build a community kitchen in the front. Is this a laser pointer? Yep. So this area up here in the red is actually going to be a community kitchen where those entrepreneurs, so maybe they're moving out of their kitchen, they're ready for the next step, and they're ready to rent a kitchen to do a couple-hour production a week for whatever it is they're going to sell at the market or cater jobs, whatever, they'll be able to rent that kitchen by the hour. And hopefully we'll start construction on that project this summer. Shed 4 is really going to be our capstone project. That is where we took that market hall idea and we moved it to a new Shed 4, Market Hall Education Center. So that is something that will be open multiple days a week with permanent vendors. And instead of doing a cheese shop, our goal is to do a cheese production facility that has retail in the front of it. Instead of having a coffee store, we'll have a coffee roaster, bakery, those sort of things. So we'll actually have those uses going on, that food production that's always happened in the market, but more formalized, and then you'll be able to shop directly from the people that are making those products. So one of the things that challenges us at the Eastern Market is we have in Michigan probably the greatest collection of specialty grocery stores ever seen. The Papa Joe's, the Hillers, the Westbourne, the Produce Palaces, many of which that are located around Ann Arbor. So a lot of people drive past those stores to come to the market, and a lot of that produce that's sold at that AM market is actually purchased from our market and then taken over the city to the suburbs and sold to the people there. So how do we address those challenges? The first thing we did was start an EBT program. EBT is Electronic Benefits Transfer, or now it's called SNAP, and in Michigan we call it the Bridge Card. It's electronic food stamps. So under the Clinton administration, food stamps went from the traditional paper stamp to a card. And sales at farmers markets dried up immediately. So we just followed the model of a couple other states, and we put together a program where people can come, we swipe their card, and then we give them $1 tokens. And those tokens for whatever they want, $1, $100, it does not matter. They look for those signs hanging above the vendors. They spend them for their produce. The farmers and vendors bring them back to our headquarters here. We have 2 locations, and they turn them in. We do a little triplicate form, and every 2 weeks I get to play Santa Claus, and I go around and pass out checks. It's a lot better than passing out bills. So those are the tokens. That's our little EBT machine. We started that program in 2007. We started out with an $83,000 day. We've had a day we've sold over, well, $83, excuse me. We've had a day we've sold over $13,000 worth of tokens in one Saturday. So we're at about $450,000 cumulative for the whole program, and we're averaging about $5,000 a week across the entire board, which is good news because it means that people that often had least access to produce have somewhere to purchase now. It's always, kind of on the other side, more people are on food assistance in Michigan, but we like to focus on the positive. We even did a program this summer that we actually gave out 20 free dollars. We matched up to 20 free dollars for 13 weeks. So if you came in and bought 20, we gave you 20 additional, and those tokens were only good for Michigan-grown fruits and vegetables. And we'll hope to do that again. That was funded by actually an Ann Arbor group called the Fair Food Network. We have a couple other programs. We figure we have a transportation problem in Detroit. Everybody knows that. We can't necessarily bring more people to the market. When we've done our studies, we're about 50% city, 50% suburbs. But we can actually take the produce to them. So 2 of those programs is our Fresh Food Share, which is a CSA-style box that we pack up once a month in collaboration with the Gleaners Community Food Bank and the Greening of Detroit. And people pre-order, and then we deliver those boxes to senior centers and some locations that people pick them up. And it's all stuff that comes from the market in season, and some of it's actually grown in the city of Detroit. And then we worked with the former Governor Granholm on a Michigan Neighborhood Food Movers. It was her program that was a way to empower people. It was a full program. It told you where to buy the truck, who to buy your produce from, what license you need, and hopefully get you out on the road driving through the neighborhoods like people used to selling produce. It started out kind of slow, and we'll see where it goes under the current administration. And then we also have what we call our AM Fresh Stand. We get calls all the time that people want us to come and set up a farmer's market in their district. Unfortunately, we can't bring a bunch of farmers down if the sales aren't going to merit what they're used to at the market. So we bought a van, and we purchase produce from our wholesale growers and take it to certain places. So we'll do higher-end locations. We'll go to Henry Ford Hospital in West Bloomfield, but we'll also go to senior centers in Southwest Detroit and sell our produce. And people are able to use their bridge card when they purchase produce with this program as well. So I encourage you all to come down. I'm glad everyone has visited us on Saturday, but we are 52 weeks a year, if you didn't know that. Every Saturday we're there. In the wintertime, we have 2 sheds that we're indoors, so you'll stay nice and toasty. And come visit us. It's actually a better time to come see us now, a little quieter, but I encourage you to come all the time. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or visit our website. Thank you.